So no one silences us. And to all my friends in Italy who reached out, you have to know it's okay. We're still here. We're still broadcasting.
Whoopi claims Biden's loose bowels should make voters throw in the towels. Goldberg's rational so weak she doesn't care if Biden can't speak. Yes, it's a magical land where little Debbies make big bellies and brain cells go to die. This week on The View, Whoopi doubled down on her support of Joe Biden's re-election. No surprise. But it was her peculiar poo-powered prose that piqued my potty predilection. Roll it!
I don't care if he's pooped his pants.
Viewers may have expected a loud confrontation, a burst of outrage, or the kind of television moment that spirals out of control. Instead, the exchange took a quieter turn, with Greg Gutfeld relying on timing, restraint, and a carefully chosen remark to challenge Whoopi Goldberg's position. One observation, followed by a perfectly measured pause, changed the atmosphere almost instantly. The audience noticed, and online viewers quickly began dissecting the moment from every angle. For Goldberg, the reaction appeared to be one of those television moments nobody plans for. Stay with us, because the setup is subtle, the timing is precise, and the eventual payoff says far more than a shouting match ever could.
It is the same.
No, it's not. The year 2025 in the United States is nothing like if I step foot wearing this outfit in Toronto. I think it's very different to live in the United States in 2025, than it is to live in Iran.
Not if you're black.
Not for everybody.
Not if you're black.
Girls, girls, girls. Whoopi, you know you're on the very wrong side of history even when the fake Republican disagrees with you. I haven't seen Whoopi wave her fingers like that since someone offered her a salad.
Greg Gutfeld enters the broader cultural debate like someone calmly walking into a crowded library where everyone is arguing over a book they may not have finished. He does not need to raise the temperature to make an impression. Instead, he watches the argument, identifies the weak point, and delivers his response with the relaxed confidence of someone who has already spotted the contradiction.
If you are doing the job, I might not like everything you're doing. I don't like it all. But I'm going to stand behind you.
She doesn't care if he his pants, and in fact, she'll stand right behind him. Not only does she have a terrible case of Trump derangement, she also has no sense of smell or a really weird fetish. And I'm not one to kink shame, to each his own. I guess you just got tired of Joy's crap.
Before we continue, make sure to like the video and subscribe if you want more breakdowns like this. From the opening moments, Gutfeld's approach is noticeably different from the usual formula of volume and confrontation. His strategy depends on composure, humor, and reasoning delivered without unnecessary theatrics. That combination can be especially effective when confidence begins to outrun the evidence. Rather than escalating the exchange, he allows the logic of the discussion to create the tension on its own.
The technique for summoning the demon associated with talking out of your ass. Even Alyssa couldn't tolerate the examples Whoopi made out of thin air, or since it's Whoopi, fat air. Cat, yeah.
She was like,
I know.
We in this country.
Everyone just knew he was going to me. Yes, he was going on.
Like,
and he did.
But you have a very good Iranian friend.
She was like, we in this country tie gay people to car. It's like
Whoopi Goldberg, a veteran television personality with decades of experience discussing public issues, provides a natural contrast to Gutfeld's approach. The point is not to question her intelligence or dismiss her career. Instead, the commentary focuses on what happens when confidence and reputation begin carrying more weight than the argument itself. Gutfeld's style is particularly suited to challenging that dynamic. He tends to question the reasoning underneath a confident statement rather than simply attacking the person delivering it.
Kat, you know what was the most interesting thing about this was the audience reaction. Like when she started talking about poop being everywhere, the audience was like frozen. They were like, I don't, what is going on here? Whoopi has a poop problem.
What does she mean she has poopy days?
She has poopy days. I don't know, man.
What does she mean she steps in it? Like,
she steps in it.
Are we all supposed to relate to that?
Yeah, it's like all of a sudden she's got a poopy day.
Is that supposed to be a relatable? If she, at her level of wealth, can't figure out how to not.
Gutfeld approaches Goldberg's statements almost like exhibits in a case file, worth examining carefully, but certainly not beyond question. Rather than immediately declaring them wrong, he changes the frame and invites the audience to look at them from another angle. That shift can make a familiar argument suddenly appear much less convincing. The contrast between Goldberg's certainty and the complexity of the subjects she discusses becomes a recurring source of humor. He does not necessarily need to exaggerate the position. Sometimes placing the statement in a different context is enough to expose its limitations. His comedy works like a spotlight, drawing attention to places where confidence may be doing more work than reasoning.
ABC suspended Whoopi for 2 weeks because she said the Holocaust had nothing to do with race. She said this on a show called The View, which makes everything about race. Except now.
The Holocaust isn't about race. No, it's not about race.
It is.
It's about
a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man.
Yeah, that's heroic.
Gutfeld continues with the demeanor of someone entertained by the exchange rather than intimidated by it, and that choice shapes the entire tone. Goldberg's public confidence becomes the starting point, while his humor provides the mechanism for examining it. He does not need personal insults because the stronger joke comes from questioning how authority can become less useful when it stops welcoming disagreement. His commentary suggests that treating every challenge as evidence of ignorance can create an intellectual echo chamber. That idea becomes particularly effective when presented through humor rather than confrontation. The audience can recognize the pattern without being told exactly what conclusion to reach. At one point, the comparison resembles a navigation system that refuses to change direction even after the road ahead has disappeared. The image works because the problem is not a lack of confidence. It is confidence that refuses to reconsider itself.
The irony of her defense of Iran is she was probably stoned.
That's why you're sitting in that chair.
I mean, she clearly has the munchies at all times. So that explains. I think there's a couple of facts that just simply got wrong. In Iran, they don't throw gays off of buildings. They force them to get sex changes.
Yes.
Tehran is the world trans sex capital because gay men are forced to get the surgery to get castrated to become women.
There is a consistent pattern to Gutfeld's approach. Respect should come from the strength of an idea, not simply from the confidence with which it is delivered. Goldberg's authoritative presentation provides a strong contrast with his more relaxed style, and that difference creates much of the comedic tension. He positions himself less as someone trying to dominate the conversation and more as an observer examining what happens when certainty has to defend itself. Complex social questions can become especially vulnerable to oversimplification, and he highlights that tendency through irony. His comparison is essentially intellectual fast food, quick, familiar, and satisfying at first, but less substantial once you examine what is actually being served. The humor works because it encourages the audience to think rather than instructing them which side to support. Applause, after all, can demonstrate that a message connected with people. It does not automatically establish that the message was correct.
Yeah, it's a selfish TDS moment. She just hates Trump so much, Jamie, almost as much as your ex-wife hates you.
There it is.
Yeah. I saw what she said, Greg, and with all disrespect, I think that she's this is okay. I think that if you're right, it's the putting the sentences together. It's the pooping your pants. I feel like to be the president, she's wrong, and you should be able to put you could do some jobs like.
The tone remains pointed without becoming needlessly hostile, allowing the criticism to stay focused on ideas rather than personal attacks. Gutfeld repeatedly returns to the tension between confidence and curiosity, using the discussion to illustrate what can happen when one pushes the other aside. Curiosity allows commentary to develop, question itself, and adapt, while absolute certainty can leave little room for revision. He also challenges the assumption that passion or volume somehow turns an opinion into established fact. As the discussion develops, the larger question becomes whether public familiarity should automatically translate into intellectual authority. Influence can be substantial without being permanent proof of accuracy. That distinction gives the commentary its edge. Instead of feeling like a personal attack, the roast becomes a prolonged reminder that even familiar voices should remain open to scrutiny.
The View. What did she think Hitler meant when he said master race? The 100-meter dash at the Berlin Olympics? So for the first time in The View's history, it's not about race. Just some whites exterminating 6 million other whites. So what's the big deal? Her reasoning reminds me of the guy who looks at black-on-black crime and says, that's just them doing what they do. Of course, it's that if that callous person were me or you, we would be canceled faster than a Tinder date with Andrew.
Goldberg's public confidence gives Gutfeld plenty of material, but his restrained delivery keeps the commentary from sounding forced. He relies on irony, comparison, and carefully controlled humor instead of dramatic declarations. There is no need for him to announce a victory or demand that everyone agree with him. His approach works precisely because he leaves the audience to make the final connection. Goldberg remains the same public figure, but the perspective surrounding her statements has changed. Once familiar claims are placed under a more skeptical lens, they can look very different. That shift becomes the quiet punchline of the entire exchange. Rather than trying to overpower certainty, Gutfeld simply keeps examining it until the confidence itself becomes part of the joke.
Yeah, here's the deal, Kelly. This was a great strategy on Whoopi, or Poopy as I like to call her. She got us off the topic of talking about cognitive stuff. We're talking about intestinal unfortitude.
Not by choice.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
I mean, this just underscores people hate Trump so much on that side that this is what they're willing to accept. They are figuratively, literally willing to accept poop.
At this stage, Gutfeld leans into a broader question. Why do certain public opinions sometimes function like shortcuts for an entire cultural conversation? Familiar voices can make complicated subjects feel easier by offering conclusions before audiences have had time to examine the underlying evidence. His criticism targets that habit rather than simply dismissing the person delivering the message. The joke becomes sharper when confidence, familiarity, and credibility start being treated as substitutes for proof. He then pushes the idea further by portraying public authority as something that can become ceremonial, recognized because of history and reputation, rather than because every new statement has earned that level of trust. He is not denying Goldberg's influence. He is questioning whether influence and insight should always be treated as the same thing. That distinction gives the commentary much of its bite.
It's fine since she apologized, but not before digging an even deeper hole than the one in her head. Here she is on Colbert, which is French for crushing bore.
I feel being black, when we talk about race, it's a very different thing to me. So I said that I felt that the Holocaust wasn't about race. People were very angry and they said, no, we are a race. And
Gutfeld also examines what happens when disagreement is interpreted as personal hostility instead of an opportunity to test an argument. His underlying point is simple. An idea that can withstand scrutiny should have little reason to fear questions. The sarcasm remains measured because disbelief can sometimes be more effective than anger. The commentary then returns to another recurring theme, the tendency to reduce complicated social questions into straightforward moral conclusions. Those simplified answers may be emotionally satisfying, but they can leave important details outside the frame. Gutfeld amplifies that simplicity so the audience can see what happens when the emotional layer is removed. The goal is less about distorting an opinion and more about asking whether the reasoning underneath it is strong enough to stand independently. That makes the humor recognizable because it reflects a debate-style audiences encounter far beyond television.
Boss tells View, enough already. Dagan, according to the Daily Beast, Disney and ABC execs have told The View to tone down their Trump bashing because they're constantly doing it. Should they, though? I mean, isn't this their brand now? They got nothing left. If you take that away, what do they have?
Nothing. As if the show is some delightful chit-chat fest without the political talk.
Yeah.
Throughout the roast, Gutfeld maintains an almost detached amusement, as though he is observing a familiar television pattern unfold in real time. He treats public reactions and established talking points as examples of a broader system that often rewards certainty, consistency, and audience approval. But predictability can become its own weakness when an argument never leaves room for revision. Ideas that remain unchanged regardless of new information can eventually become simplified versions of what they once represented. Gutfeld also questions the performance of certainty itself, the way conviction can sometimes become more about presentation than examination. His metaphor turns that style of commentary into intellectual comfort food, familiar, reassuring, and designed to confirm what the audience already believes. Applause may demonstrate agreement, but agreement alone does not settle the underlying question. The humor works because he trusts viewers to notice that distinction without spelling out every implication.
When the ladies put their science caps on and discuss the solar eclipse.
I know, right? I mean, I have to say, Karen Dupiche, our wonderful, one of our wonderful makeup artists, when the earthquake was happening, she put her coat on and she was like, Jesus is coming.
I'm out.
I'm out. I'm leaving. We've got a solar eclipse. We've got the earthquake. She ran down the hallway.
The rapture is here.
The rapture's here. And then also I learned that the cicadas are coming. Cicadas.
Although I love
for the first time in like
No.
100 years.
No.
For the first time in
As the commentary moves forward, Gutfeld places his relaxed delivery beside Goldberg's more authoritative presentation and uses that contrast to question how much style can influence perceptions of substance. Seriousness can create an impression of credibility, but presentation alone cannot replace a well-supported argument. His humor becomes more reflective when he considers the role of doubt in genuine understanding. Doubt is not necessarily a sign of weakness. In many cases, it is what forces people to examine assumptions and improve their conclusions. That creates an interesting contrast with absolute certainty, which can leave little room for growth. The discussion also returns to Goldberg's long career and the advantages that come with decades of public visibility. Experience can provide valuable perspective, but it can also create an environment where established figures receive different levels of scrutiny than newcomers. Gutfeld's broader argument is that longevity should raise the standard for public commentary, not quietly lower it. In that sense, the sharpest joke is not about age or reputation, it is about whether any public voice should ever become too established to be seriously questioned.
I kind of, like, when somebody tells me not to do something, like, for the longest time they were saying, stop with the poop jokes.
All right.
And it just made me do more poop jokes. It's like on Red Eye, they were saying, can you please, what is your fascination with poop? And I go, I don't know. Beats the out of me. So they told them to lighten up, and this is what they did on the Qatar jet, or Qatar jet.
The United States has accepted the plane.
the plane.
Is going to cause